Hi, Mr. B.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. All right, folks. As we're admitting people here, just want to say good morning to everybody. Hope you guys are enjoying this fallish weather outside, taking a walk somewhere, whatever, doing something interesting while socially distanced, hopefully. I'll tell you, on the faculty meeting this morning, they are making preparations slowly but surely to get you guys back in school here, which I think, if we can do it safely, will be ideal for you. You guys need to see people and you need to be able to interact with other children your age, that type of thing. So, positive note, they are going to start allowing some extracurricular activities to start up here. So maybe that's a movement in the right direction. I'm going to, we've only got 18 here. Probably wait another minute or two. If you guys could, yesterday we took a few notes. What I want you to do is make sure you have those in front of you. I don't know how you guys are organizing your information because I'm obviously not there with you, but I would advise to have a notebook or some kind of folder for just this class, or try to keep it separated from other classes, or else it could get a little bit confusing or dicey as we move on. Oftentimes for my class, if you label things by the week, so this is considered week number 2, that'll also help you in terms of organization. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just take over here for a moment, and I wanted to show you guys the first activity that I would like to participate in. So got to get rid of a couple of things here. That would be right here. So the first thing we're going to do today, if you guys can read the screen here, is we are going to have a small group discussion based off of some of the notes you took yesterday. Okay, I'm going to be breaking you down into groups of 3. And so the oldest person in your group, so you're going to have to figure it out between the 3 of you. That means you're going to have to say, this is my birth date, this is my birth date. Okay. The oldest person is going to be the leader. They're going to walk their small group through these 3 questions. So you may want to, again, take a look at these 3 questions and maybe even jot them down. I will share them on the breakout room thing as I can. But first off, how did the human species populate the earth? Which area is first, which area is last? So back to that video that we talked about yesterday and we watched. Secondly, what makes the human species different than other species? And then third, name 2 to 3 characteristics of early humans. All right. What did they do? What do we know about them? All right. So what I'm going to do is I will break us into groups here. And then what I'll do is I'll put these questions and so that you can have them in your discussion. And I'm going to go ahead and give you about 6 minutes to do this. Okay. I'll let you know when you have a minute left. Everyone good with that? Can I get a thumbs up from a couple people? Awesome. All right. So we're going to break out here. Going to use 7 rooms and figure out who the oldest person is when I open the rooms. And like I said, I'll put the questions in the announcements. You may only have 2 people in your group, depending on, we only had 19, so. Jordan and Wes, you guys awake over there? Need you guys to press accept, please. Jordan, Wes, you guys are around over there? Need you guys to accept your invitation. Okay, everybody else, go ahead and get going. Figure out who the oldest person is first. First question I wanted you to take a look at is broadcasted.
Oh, yeah, you're older.
Okay. So, wait, can you send that again? Like
I got it on my phone. I can, hold on.
Okay.
I got
You guys
it.
want to know what the first question is?
How did the human species populate the Earth? Which area is first and which area is last?
So, the first area, I know the last area, but I don't really know the first. Like, I know the last few. I spaced out the first few areas, but I know the last
I'm
few.
still looking up.
Like, Europe was last,
Is
correct?
it
Like, one of the last ones?
Yeah, or something like that?
Yeah, I think the Americas were the last
Okay.
because they came across the Bering Strait, which is close to Alaska today.
Okay.
The first though is this idea, and that's where the first remains were found. The oldest human remains that we found are located in this area. Do you remember where it was?
I thought it was like Mesopotamia or something like that. I don't know how to say it.
Oh, Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
You're close. It's actually in Africa, in Eastern Africa, in modern day
Oh, wow.
Kenya. Yeah. Okay, you guys are doing good. I've got to check on other groups. I just wanted to make sure you're okay because you only have two of you. So
All right.
I'm gonna
Okay.
pose the next question here on the meeting.
Anyone else who would like to share if they would rather get up early in the morning or sleep in? Sayami?
How are you guys doing? What's going on?
We finished the first question. We just need to know what the second
That's-
question is.
I was literally about to type that,
Oh, okay, thanks. Cool.
and then I had to try to figure out what was going on with you. Sorry, it's all good.
Okay, no problem.
I'll put it up right now in the chat, and I will also get out of your room and close it for everyone.
All right.
Okay, move on to question 2. If you haven't already done it, what makes the human species unique and different than other species? Okay, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Are you guys there? Chris or Layla, either one of you there?
Yeah.
Chris, you there? Chris? Layla, has Chris been helping at all?
No, he hasn't said anything yet.
I don't know. Now he must not be here. We're gonna have to call home and figure out what's going on with him. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, do you remember yesterday What made the human species unique?
Yeah. Humans have emotions and fear.
Good. That's a good answer. Do you remember any of the physical characteristics? Meaning like how their bodies are shaped or anything?
No.
We talked about it just a little bit. Remember how they stand upright on 2 legs and not 4?
Oh, yeah.
And then their skull is 90 cubic centimeters, and they have thumbs. Remember how I tried to have you guys write without thumbs or do anything without a thumb? So that's the physical characteristics that
Mr.
make.
B, can you hear me now?
Nah, now I see. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Dang, what the heck? These headphones not working.
Okay, you gotta make sure that you're participating in these group activities. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Layla, do you think you could tell Chris the physical and emotional, or physical and mental characteristics of the human species? I'm going to leave the room and pose a third question. Okay.
Good.
All right. All right. Obviously, I'm just trying to figure this out. I've only done it one other time. So think about this last question if you haven't yet, which is name 2 to 3 characteristics of an early human. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 60 seconds, and then the rooms are going to close, and we'll all bring it back together. All right. I think I've got everybody back here, hopefully. Remember, please turn your videos on and use your full name when you guys sign on. Tim Russell's coming here about 14 minutes late. Tim here. All right, so just a quick review, recap. How did the human species populate the earth? They migrated looking for large animals to provide food and life. And the areas that were first populated were Eastern Africa and the Middle East. And the areas that were last populated were Europe and, more importantly, the Americas. What makes a human species different than other species? They experience emotions. They can think about their own thinking and fear. And then physically, they have a similar size skull, 90 cubic centimeters, opposable thumbs, and they stand upright vertebrae. 2 to 3 characteristics you guys probably mentioned. Early humans were hunters and gatherers. They were migratory. They believed in animism, which is a belief that animals possessed spirits and some other things in nature possess spirits, and they worshiped them. And there were women and men were equal, meaning there was not a patriarchal society. Men and women were equal. Okay. I just went back and looked at your quiz for Friday. hopefully you guys are paying attention because I went over at least half the quiz right there, or at least 3 of the questions. So there you go. Okay. All right, we're gonna move on, and I need you guys to make sure you get your notes out that you had started yesterday if you don't already do that or don't already have them out. And we're gonna kind of finish up here what I started. So before we get going, can anybody, by raising their hand, tell me what the word Paleolithic means? Use the hand raise function on Zoom, please. All right, we got Nathaniel has his hand up in the blue. What do you think? Oh,
Wasn't it the old Stone Age?
good. Paleolithic means old Stone Age. Jariah, are we gonna say the same thing? No? What were we gonna say?
The time before people started doing agriculture.
That's true also. So it means the old Stone Age, and the definition would be the time before people started farming. Good. Okay. So we're gonna move on here. This transition, known as the Neolithic transition or the Neolithic Revolution, was when people started to tame plants and animals. So this is one of the most fundamental switches in the history of the world, and definitely still has an effect on how we see the world today. So around 12,000 years ago, so circa 10,000 BCE, people started to domesticate plants and animals. That means they started to take the best seeds from the strongest plants and keep them in things like this over here on the right, what you see is pottery, okay? And what they could do then, once they were able to figure out how to make pottery, they could, you see this right here, they could keep this pottery and actually use it to store seeds over the winter and then replant them again in the spring. And they could take the strongest plants and do it over and over again. And that process is called domestication. Okay. The word Neolithic actually means New Stone Age. So Paleolithic, Old Stone Age, Neolithic, New Stone Age. During this transition, that's when we start to see the first human settlements or cities develop, which in return then is going to mean that people started to live in bigger groups, and that's when you start to see civilizations develop that you've heard of before. All right. Moving on here, if I can find my mouse, which I can't. All right, having a little technical difficulty here. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. So where this started was a place that we call the Fertile Crescent and or Mesopotamia, okay? And you maybe have heard of this word before. Someone mentioned it earlier. This is, the Mesopotamia is the Greek word for the land between the rivers. So the two rivers that were prominent were the Euphrates and the Tigris River, and in between here makes up Mesopotamia, where the Mesopotamian city-states started. And then if you look at this shape, it's a kind of like a crescent moon, like a sliver of the moon, and that's why they call it the Fertile Crescent, okay? Now, there's been a lot of different depictions of how this was, and we have some writing from the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Torah, the Old Testament, that tells us that this was, they call it the Garden of Eden. I mean, it was one of the most fertile and luscious places where they could grow lots of different plants, which could sustain a lot of life and also be feed for animals as well. All right, so here's an example of a domestication of plants. I wanted to just use corn for an example because I think a lot of you know what the size of a corn looks like. Here's original corn, like in its maybe before it's domesticated. This is about the size of corn, a quarter. Okay, the bottom right-hand side. And then if you move over to what it looks like today, you can compare the size of the quarter to a corn stalk today. Obviously, it's vastly different. And that's due to how early people in the Neolithic transition were able to produce corn and take the best seed and then continue to make it stronger and stronger. Another example over here is wheat. And when you crush wheat, that's when you get flour to make things. So the better the wheat plant, the better that it's going to produce food. All right, moving on. So I think most of you get this. Some of you have had health class. But the availability of calories determines how people get food. And because of this, people can start to get more calories. That means babies live longer. That means people live to a longer age. That means you're going to have a higher population. And everyone is thinking, oh, that's so good, more people. But in reality, it's difficult on the earth, and we'll talk about that in a second. Important for you guys to see the when and the where here, okay? This is the Middle East, also known as Southwest Asia. You'll see about 11,000 years ago, they're the first ones to domesticate barley, wheat, lentils, figs, things that we still eat all the time today. Goats, sheep, cattle, and pigs were then animals that they domesticated. Okay, then China, then Africa, then smaller, more remote areas like New Guinea, Andes in South America, Middle America around Mexico, and then finally North America, or kind of the eastern woodlands where we live. And you'll notice there's a huge advantage. Some historians call it geographic luck that the Middle East, China, and Sub-Saharan Africa all had access to cattle and large animals, whereas other areas in the world did not have that same access to the animals. Okay, so other than plant domestication, you need to have animal domestication. You probably want to jot this definition down. An animal will breed where and when we want it to, and often it will come to us for food. It is not aggressive. So the early humans of the Neolithic Revolution started to figure out that they could take large cattle and then breed the ones that they wanted over and over again to make them less aggressive or not aggressive at all, and also then to make them larger and larger. We continue to do this in the millennium of the 2000s here. I have a good buddy who works for Monsanto, who's responsible for making Roundup and different kinds of chemicals to make food bigger. And I have other friends that call him a demon because the amount of food and animals and chemicals that are going into it that he thinks bad for our health. Some of my friends think. If you ever seen the size of our chicken breast, though, if you go to Costco and you buy an organic, quote unquote, chicken breast, it's 3 times larger than the size of the chicken breast that we used to eat when I was a kid, when I was 10. That's how much things have changed. So we definitely still do this today. Now, here's some examples of domesticated animals. A horse, a cow, a pig, a sheep, a goat, a chicken, an ox, and an elephant. Yes, you can domesticate elephants. Now, what's unique about all of these domesticated animals on the screen here is that they are all from Afro-Eurasia, Africa, Europe, and Asia, the Eastern Hemisphere. The Western Hemisphere, the Americas, which were populated later than the rest of the world, didn't have access to too many large animals. Okay. And I'm going to show you this here in a second. So what did the Americas have? The guinea pig, the turkey, and the llama or the alpaca, which here we see Napoleon riding the alpaca. Ha ha ha. Okay. Again, important for you guys, jot this down so you see the difference and you see the reason that the Eastern Hemisphere, that would be Africa, Europe, and Asia, had a lot bigger advantage than the Americas once plants and animals became domesticated. All right. So what happened then? Life changes. Okay. So this ends up causing people to live what we call a sedentary lifestyle. That's what we're living right now, where you stay in the same place and you don't move from place to place. So now people are not migratory. They don't move to go get their food. They're able to stay in one place. Also, it creates a need for cooperation and group effort to be able to plant as much as possible and then yield as much as possible, have surpluses, and then use those surpluses to possibly exchange goods with other people that make other things and start a rudimentary economic trade system. Okay. It also creates job specialization. Some people plant, some people harvest, some people protect, some people make records. And so all of a sudden now you have different jobs, which then creates social classes. People that participate in certain jobs are better than others. And what ends up happening is because the males are the protectors and still the hunters, and the women stay home and take care of the home and are planters, that slowly a patriarchy forms where the men serve as the government roles and the tax collectors, and they write down the information. And early civilizations are indicative that patriarchy or rule by males started and women were looked at as lesser. Okay, last but not least then is you have major population growth due to people making more and more food. Okay, all right. I've got a graph for you here. We're almost done. Take a look at the effects of farming. All right, so you can look up here on the left, the average global temperature in Fahrenheit. Look at how many thousands of years ago. If you go to about 12,000 years ago, when people started farming, look how the temperature of the earth went up. Okay, that also coincides then with the graph on the right, which is in thousands of years ago. So going backwards, you can see population is very small, and then all of a sudden, you see that the population of the world goes up dramatically in millions of people due to the amount of food available. So while it was good for population growth, was it good for the earth? Not necessarily. Okay. Now, what's our population today? 7 billion. So I'm not real good at math, but multiply this graph, that you'd have to have about 40 times this. Okay, in only the last 2,000 years. So it's kind of a scary idea for how many people live on the earth now because of technology and the amount of food available. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop there, and I wanted to provide a couple instructions for you guys. So I'm almost done here. Here's what I wanted to show you. Uh-oh. Not that. That's your quiz. All right. Tonight, and this I'm going to give you 15 minutes to work on, because I want every single person out there, listen up. I want you to turn this in tonight. Okay? I had to redo the reading guide, or the PDF, because I had scanned the wrong pages. So I redid this yesterday right after your class, the week 2 intro. Okay, you're going to download it. Again, I showed you guys yesterday. You can submit this however you want, but it has to be done by midnight tonight. So you've got 16 minutes till your next class to work on it. We've answered a bunch of these questions. I just answered 9, 10, 11. I didn't answer 12, 13 I kind of answered, and then we're going to go over these next two tomorrow. Okay. So, unless anybody has a question, which is fine, ask now or else I'm going to stop the share, and then I'm going to let you guys finish this on your own. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay, you guys, make sure you get that turned in. 22 people have turned it in out of 93 right now. So, no missing assignments. Get that in. And that's all you guys had to do tonight, all right? Thank you for your participation. I know period 1 is hard. I need some of you guys to be a little more alert so when we do group activities, you're actually talking, okay? Have a good evening, folks. Or, sorry, morning. All right, bye.
Bye.
I'll stay here. I'll be here if you guys have any questions, okay? Or you can send me a question on Remind.